All right, so Biden authorizes Pentagon to send reserve troops on active duty to Ukraine, something that he once said would start World War II. Now, I did a show on this earlier this week, but for those who have not seen this show, I felt like we needed to lead with this because I believe that this is getting buried in a lot of the distraction things that we hear about.
And this is big. And by the way, are we going to be able to jump on Rumble tonight? I know you're doing 59 things at one time.
Let me just see if Rumble is live. Can I just check? And y'all get to check with me. Let's just check together here and see if we're live. Let's see. It might have kicked me off. Let's see. Are we live? No, we didn't make it. We didn't make it on Rumble. Let me see if I can do something for my Rumble family here. No. So for a Rumble, I'm sorry. They must have had a timeout on it. It timed out. So sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
So here we go.
Yeah,
this is big.
Serious.
This is big because we covered this, but we need to talk about it again. On July 13th, President Commander-in-Chief Joe Biden signed an executive order that authorized the Department of Defense to send several thousand of reservists to active duty in Europe. A move that Biden once said would spell the beginning of World War III. You think? And so he goes, said, by the authority vested in me as president, blah, 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 blah. He goes on to release 3,000, there it is, not to exceed 3,000 total members at any one time, of whom are more than 450. Yeah. Let me just tell you something. When you see things not exceeding 3,000 total members at any one time, that ain't worth what the ink is or the typing that it took to even type that out, because they can change that at any minute. Sandy, we know what this is. This is shoring up the forces to get ready to bring NATO, to bring America into what we've already known that we're doing anyway, and that's we're fighting a war with Russia. Now, I want to say something, Sandy. I want to say something right off the bat. Like I said, y'all, we ain't had time to talk about anything because it's just been crazy. Nothing.
Literally, I was at the airport moments ago, and now we're here.
But I want to say something, that I am going to do everything in my power to have a show tomorrow night, Tuesday night, that is going to release some information on our military and the potential of World War III. Yeah,
this is big time stuff.
On a level that I've never talked about. I'm going to be very careful with my words because I know I'm live. I'm going to tell you that an anonymous source that is very, very reputable has told us some information that we have not seen anywhere. This has come from vetted sources, and it has to do with our military and World War III. And it will not be hype. I will just share with you what I've been released to share. And let me tell you something, it's one of the most alarming things I've ever been told in my life. It's going to be one of the more important shows that we've ever done. But tomorrow night, you need to make sure you're on Big Picture Live, because I'm going to release some information that the whole world needs to know.
Well, this is credible validation from someone we personally know, to have a relationship with.
Yes.
And it does more or less verify what we talk about every week. And every week there seems to be more evidence in the news articles that we are heading that way. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's very real.
So I have to be very careful with my words because I want to make sure that I protect the source. But this is a very, as she said, reputable source. And this is very, very alarming information.
So we hope you got your notifications all hooked up right, so you'll get notified.
Good point. Make sure you hover over that notification bell and click all, because if you don't click all, YouTube will never notify you. So look, there's video proof that Ukraine has already begun using cluster bombs. So
we just talked about this for the first time last week.
So now we've called up 3,000 troops to Europe, quote unquote Europe, which happens to be right next to where all this is going on. And then we said that we're going to release cluster bombs that we'd also previously said was a war crime if Russia used them, but now we're using them. And this is just a quick clip here, if I can get this to work.
Yes, I watched this earlier.
This is, and by the way, Ukraine is really not good targets because they missed big time, thankfully. But you'll see, it's a little grainy video, but you'll see people walking along this trail. I'm assuming these are military people. And they released the cluster bomb, missed them. But you have to imagine what would have happened if they would have hit them. It would have been devastating. But this is what a cluster bomb looks like. It doesn't have any sound, I don't think.
I don't think so. I watched this earlier.
Yeah. So now watch it. You'll see it in back in the distance. This is I guess a drone. You see that? That's what a cluster bomb looks like. That is devastating because it ain't just the white smoke; it's the shrapnel. Yeah. Shrapnel's going in that entire circle. So if you're in that entire circle or right outside of that circle, I mean that's just devastating. That's what a cluster bomb. That's the kind of warfare that is happening right now in the war in Ukraine. And I'm going to tell you something. The reason I'm showing you this, not to scare you and alarm you, but when our reservists are called up, they're being called up for potential to be in this conflict. This is the kind of weapons that they're going to face. And that's tragic. That's tragic because that's going to mean loss of life. That's going to mean, and I don't want to say too much about tomorrow night, but tomorrow night I'm going to tell you that that's worse. It's worse than you think.
Did we talk about the young men in Ukraine which are being taken off the streets in a lot of cases?
No, but share about that.
Okay, so this is what I've heard, and if anyone out there can verify that they've heard the same thing. So they're being taken off the street. They're basically being abducted, if you want to use those words, and probably tricked into service, a uniform put on them. And I've heard estimates that some of these only last as little as 4 hours after they're being sent out.
Are you serious?
Yes, I've heard this multiple times. It's very scary.
Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to spend a lot of time on Ukraine tonight because I'm going to talk about war tomorrow night and some potential things. I'm going to really get into it. But this war in Ukraine is not being – you have not been told the truth.
Thank you, Alicia. She said she's heard that as well.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, let me tell you something. You're not been told the truth. You've been distracted. Look, bless the souls. It's horrible, the souls that died in that submarine that imploded. But the whole thing about the submarine was to distract you because all of this was in the works. And then we hear about cocaine in the White House and all of this stuff and who did it, and who did this, and what did Kamala say, what did Trump say, what speech here, speech there. We're being distracted from the fact that our young men and women are being called to this war.
Yes.
And not just this war. Tomorrow night, I'm going to tell you some things that are happening that's even more alarming than this. And you're going to find out why we're being distracted by these silly, how much are the prices to the, Taylor Swift concert and all these kind of things. These are news items. They're covering this stuff on the news when this is happening.
Exactly.
And while this is happening, guess what else is still happening? All of a sudden, we are reminded that we are in the middle of the greatest amount of train derailments that is moving goods in this country than we have ever seen. So right before I got on the plane, Sandy sent this to me. Freight train derails in Pennsylvania, prompting evacuations of nearby residences and businesses.
Right.
A CSX freight train derailed in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Multiple train cars derailed just before 5 a.m. I'm going to play this video clip from the local news.
Good idea.
Start with that breaking news. More than a dozen train cars are scattered all along Norfolk Southern tracks in Montgomery County. The reason behind the derailment remains a mystery at this point. Action News reporter Corey Davis is live near the scene of the derailment in White Marsh Township. Good morning, Corey.
Matt, good morning. So we do now know that these freight trains belong to CSX. That's what the trains are being operated by. You can see behind us here, this is one of many intersections that are blocked off around that area. This is Joshua Road freight train. It derailed around 4:50 this morning in an area surrounded by Stanton Avenue, Joshua Road, and Flowertown Road here in White Marsh Township. White Marsh Emergency Services officials say there have been precautionary evacuations, no mandatory evacuations, just precautionary of families and businesses closest to the scene.
All right, we're going to stop it here. Sandy, look, I know trains have derailed for all time since there's been trains, but anybody with a brain at all has got to ask themselves, why are we hearing train derailment after train derailment after train derailment?
Ricky's saying Ohio 2.0, thankfully.
Exactly.
It hasn't approached that yet. So I heard, 16 out of 40 cars were derailed. Just over a dozen homes were evacuated, maybe some businesses as well. And here's what they said. Okay, it's all right, though. So they're just carrying silicone pellets. And here's the phrase, that pose no threat to the public.
Of course, poses no threat to the public.
At this stage in reality, do you really want to trust that statement? Because what if 2 or 3 days from now they come back and have a different story?
Yeah.
and have a different narrative? Can we really trust what we're being told? This was a CSX train operating on a Norfolk Southern system track, which is, I don't know if there's anything suspicious or we should question about that. But the fact is this, does it feel like wash, rinse, and repeat?
Absolutely
does. It feel like we're just revisiting a couple of months ago?
Yes.
If you remember the cycle that started, we had train derailments.
Yep.
Well, I can't remember if the balloon situation started before the train derailments, but those two were right there together.
About the same time,
Then we had the banking problem, and then somewhere mixed in with that, we had the problem with the power substations being broken into, vandalized.
You done forgot about that.
All of these things. And we're already I'm hearing now more than I've heard possibly even the first go around worry about blackouts, worry about EMP, worry about the power going out. So we've already had another balloon incident a couple of weeks ago, nowhere near the level of the first one. Now, here we go again with the trains. What's about to happen? What is happening?
And think about this. On those trains, they're not just going down the tracks, just be going down the tracks. Mm-mm. There are goods.
Yes.
There are goods. There is food. Yes. There is cattle. There is cars. There is fuel.
And don't forget, last week or the week before, we had the one that derailed into the Yellowstone River, and it did have a slightly, or I don't know to what level, toxic substance on it that spilled into the river.
Now, keep in mind, when I came in here, literally hopping on one leg, I threw all these news articles because I thought I could just come to take them from my laptop. So I had to put them all in order, and I got them out of order just a little bit. So we talked about the train, but I want to go back real quick and cover two more things that got out of order there a little bit that we need to finish on what's going on over there in Ukraine.
Concerning war.
Because France is now, we just sent cluster bombs, but nobody's talking about the fact that France is now sending a controversial Scalp long-range missile as the United Kingdom sends drones as well. They are ramping up. Yes. They are ramping up for something big. With the highly touted Ukrainian spring and summer counteroffensive effectively being quietly accepted as a failed operation. Remember, we were sold the narrative was just hold on to the spring and the Ukraine's going to take out Russia. Well, it didn't happen. Western allies continue to pledge support for Ukraine. One of the more recent examples is France and their decision to send new long-range weapons to strike at the Russian forces. Oh, and by the way, while they're trying to leave the G7 and join Brics. Does that make sense?
I know. When you threw this article in there, I was like, wait a minute, what?
They want to join Brics, which is China and Russia led.
Yes.
And they're going to send stuff to kill Russia. Listen, y'all, this thing is not lining up to make sense. There is something else going on. And all this stuff we're talking about, the train derailments and all this stuff that's going on here at home, stuff like that's happening in other countries as well. It's like they're getting ready to bring this world war on us. At the same time, our home front is being inundated with lack of supplies, supply chain issues, inflation, all this kind of stuff. What does it sound like? It sounds like Agenda 2030 to me.
Wow.
It sounds like you're going to eat the bugs. It sounds like you will own nothing and be happy. It sounds like you will not drive a car. It sounds like you will live in a 15-minute city. It sounds like they're pulling out every stop. I don't know how you feel about it, Sandy, but I feel like they're pulling out every stop to try to get us rapidly.
Feels like it's coming from every direction, and we talk about that every week, from every direction, everywhere, all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, here's another one. Because while this is why it's called World War.
Yeah.
Not because there's a war in Ukraine, there's a war in China that I'll talk about tomorrow night. And at the same time, rumors of war. Thank you, End Time Headlines, once again.
Yes.
For your great
Absolutely.
News articles. Rumors of war. The Israeli Air Force is preparing for a multi-arena war. Exactly. Think about what I'm saying. You've got Russia, you've got Ukraine, you've got U.S. calling up troops, you've got other nations in NATO sending troops, you've got secret weapons, devastating weapons being sent from multiple countries to a war. You got China saying, if you help Taiwan, you're our enemy. You've got all this other kind of stuff. And then, lo and behold, you've got
their exercise called Firm Hand.
Firm Hand, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And now you got Israel saying, okay, we've always sort of been in a state of war, but now they're on the ground. They're prepping for a multi-arena war.
Right.
Listen to this. In mid-June, the Israeli Defense Forces completed a major 2-week war exercise dubbed Firm Hand, which simulated a multi-arena war starting with Hezbollah and Lebanon and spreading to other locations, including Iran. The Israeli Air Force played a key role in the exercise, reflecting its centrality as Israel's strategic arm. And it goes on to elaborate more and more about this. So what I want to read this one part here. The IAF, which is due to have 2 full squadrons of F-35 fifth-generation jets by 2024, is due to receive a 3rd squadron in the coming years and is preparing itself for plentiful security challenges. Chief among them is the attempt of the Iranian-led Axis. We ain't heard that word since World War II. Iranian-led Axis to surround Israel with a ring of fire and plant missile and rocket bases in civilian areas all around the Jewish state. In any full-scale regional war, the IAF will have to be able to both deal with those threats and tackle Iranian nuclear sites and missile bases thousands of kilometers from Israel all at the same time.
You know what this makes me want to do? This makes me want to contact our friend Amit Greenfeld.
Yes.
From Israel, and he's a reservist.
Yeah, he's probably not reservist now. He's probably active duty.
Exactly. He had a distinguished military career before he went into the travel industry, and he was quite good at that, and we very much enjoyed spending time with him on our trip. But, you're right. He's probably been put on active duty, taken away from his family to get ready for this very serious thing. The other thing I want to say is, the other day when Netanyahu had his medical episode, what it reminded me of? Not in the same way, but remember way back in the early 90s when Gorbachev got the flu?
Yep, I thought the same thing.
Did you think the same thing?
Absolutely did. Absolutely did. I wanted to say that
he wasn't really sick, folks. There was a coup being attempted, which is not what we're talking about here. But when we talk about these medical episodes, and we're told, well, he was dehydrated and he fainted and he hit his head and he had to go to the hospital.
But the first initial thing that came out that it was put in the heart clinic, and of course, most people commented and said, well, any elderly person is always taken to the heart clinic just to be sure their heart is okay.
Do you realize that they have actually placed some type of monitor or pacemaker or some kind of medical unit in his chest is what I heard. Now, if anyone has any further...
While he's there?
Yes.
While he's there?
If you have... Ricky may have more solid information on that. Did they actually do a medical procedure?
Well, the narrative is plain out just... He was just exhausted. It was just dehydration.
And he made a statement that he was outside without a hat and without water.
Which happens every single day of his existence.
There was
Israel.
Not an aide, an assistant.
Thank you.
Or just a kindly old lady that could give him a bottle of water.
Exactly. But what nobody wants to talk about,
what is going on?
Wah, 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 wah.
Well, that and...
That's what nobody wants to talk about.
Either that or what is this a cover or a distraction for?
Yeah.
Because surely, even if this exercise wasn't going on, he would have been probably preoccupied with something else. But I don't know. You cannot trust anything. Don't trust anything you hear and only half of what you see. What did Ricky say?
He said there's rumors that it could have been the wham.
Okay, thank you, Ricky.
All right,
that was also a thought in my mind as well.
Google, I want everybody to know that End Time Headline said that, not the big picture. No, I'm just kidding. I ain't throwing you in the bus, brother.
Yeah, it's all
I'll take ownership on it.
Other guy.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's good to see Thomas.
I ain't scared. Yeah, good to see Thomas.
Great to see Thomas.
Man, I'm loving this. We got the biggest crowd watching us live right now we've ever had live.
We appreciate you guys hanging in there with this late start.
Maybe we just need to pause an hour every week and get new people. No, I'm kidding. All right, so look here. Look what's happening now with CBDC.
Can I just, before you even get into this totally freaked me out.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm just like, really? Of all places in the world? I mean, I'm sure there's another place that would be an even bigger question mark, but really?
Yeah, Ethiopia.
Come on.
Yeah, Ethiopia. Ethiopia now has made digital IDs mandatory. Mandatory. There's optional and there's mandatory.
Do you know when I think of Ethiopia? This is so sad and pitiful. I think of the children with their little swollen bellies. Do you not? Starving, needing medication with their little empty bowl in their hand.
Yeah, still true.
So we can't properly, give you proper nutrition, but we sure are going to mandate that you have a digital ID when you make a banking transaction.
Exactly. Ethiopia makes digital IDs mandatory for banking transitions. A digital ID will serve as a primary bank ID and will have legal acceptance in all financial institutions, the government said. Ethiopia, a nation currently struggling, as you just said, with deep food shortages and famine, has announced that they will make it obligatory. How do you say that? Say it.
That's it.
Obligatory.
Obligatory.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have a national digital ID in order to use banking services in their country. Over a week ago, the United Nations, now listen how this all ties in. And here's why, Ethiopia. Here's why it's some of these. The United Nations World Food Program said that they were appalled at the levels of theft going on in Ethiopia in regards to how many people were stealing the provided rations, and have demanded that biometric checkpoints be instigated to alleviate the problem before they start making any real resupplies there. So let me tell you what that means. Let me interpret that for you. The United Nations threatened the nation of Ethiopia and said, watch this. I'm going to look at it again. It's on your screen. You can read it for yourself. That if you want further rations to feed your starving people, you will implement a system of digital ID to stop theft. Remember what we've said it on this show so many times, that the way this CBDC and everything, all the other controls is coming to your world, is it's always going to be spun as the greatest thing that's ever existed. That it's for you. It's not for them. They're thinking of you. And so this whole thing with Ethiopia, you got starving children, and they are using food as a threatening tool to get the digital system.
Fear in general is a great vehicle. It's a great threat, a great thing to hold over people's heads. But when they're worried, when someone's worried about feeding their children, the basics, the essentials, when you hold that over their head, of course they're going to start bowing. Of course they're going to start agreeing. No food, no medicine.
Yep, exactly right. And before we move off of this, I want to show you this part here. It says the National Bank of Ethiopia announced earlier this week the national ID system known as FADA will be mandatory for all citizens in order to use national banking services. Now look at this. This is literally legit. So what you're saying is you're talking about people who live in villages, who live in very poor conditions, that most of them do not have banking anyway. So some of them do, but most of them do not. So they are saying to the people that have some kind of finances, that are having some kind of life, they're going to lock them down, but they're using the ones that they love in their nation, they care about, that's dying of hunger, as the threat point for it.
Right. Throw that image back up while you're there. Okay. So, yes to everything you said, and it's rotten. And while we're sitting here looking at this and saying, oh my goodness, oh, those poor people, we need to be thinking about ourselves, okay? Because FedNow is being activated in our own country in this month. How far away are we from this reality? This being a reality for us in our country. Yes, compassion and prayers. And I do feel bad for all of these people.
Yes, absolutely.
And it probably will be a lot worse for them than it is and will be for us. But whatever that, you ever heard the phrase, whatever happens in Europe is coming over here? They used to say we're about 20 years behind. Well, throw that out the window. That is not an accurate statement in today's reality.
No, it's not. And I want to say thank you to all our partners, Sandy. We the faithful ones, we love all you guys.
Yes, we do.
And you ain't got to give anything, but those that give $5 a month, click that join button down below us. You're special to us, and we thank you so much for all that you do. Okay.
Yes, because literally you're helping us get this message out.
Absolutely.
And, sometimes it's not easy.
Yeah, so staying on CBDCs before we move forward, I think we need to dive in a little bit better. I love this article here that we found on Discern TV.
Yes.
This is why we need to talk about CBDCs. And it goes on to say, central banks and governments at a global scale have prepared to implement central bank digital currency, CBDCs, with important consequences for every aspect of freedom in our lives. Though they will introduce it to the public gradually, its capacity for total control is immense. It isn't merely the new dollar is digital, traceable, and trackable.
This paragraph is chock full of information.
Yes, I'm going to start it again. Listen,
start it again.
It isn't merely that the new dollar is digital, traceable, and trackable. It's based on blockchain technology, of course. It isn't merely that small business will be hurt yet again, or that private transactions will be eradicated, nor will it be merely consequential for drug dealers, scammers, and illicit trades, which is what they're going to sell it as. CBDCs are programmable. Where and how money is spent is literally built into this new currency. And they plan to use it to change how money is used.
There you go.
CBDCs are programmable. The executives that frequent the World Economic Forum, you shall eat the bugs, and other elite forums have said so. Yeah. CBDCs will not just be money. CBDCs are designed as tools of a very political and ideological agenda. Some of the worst policies that have been pushed in recent decades will now have the force of spending controls to nudge people into submission and compliance.
There you go.
That's it.
It calls to memory. And I told you this a couple of weeks ago. I was listening to Doug Hagman. He had a lady on as a guest. She was a psychiatrist or psychologist. I wish I could remember her name. But one of her patients was a lady that was part of one of these bloodline families, one of these Illuminist families. And she said this woman was really pretty much crazy. But she would have lucid moments. And in one of her lucid moments, in one of her counseling sessions one day, she just popped out with this statement, the great calling is about to begin.
Wow.
And because she was so connected, she knew the plan, or at least elements of the plan, of what is beginning to unfold right now.
Wow.
You know, Steve Quayle has a phrase, they want you dead. The Georgia Guidestones, we want to cull the population down to just about 500 million people. Well, folks, there's over 7 billion. Some people would say 8, but with, disease, famine, and quite frankly, the numbers of people who passed during COVID, I don't know how many that is now, but this woman literally said, and was so excited and giddy, that the great culling is about to begin.
The useless eaters are being taken care of.
There you go.
That's what they're all doing right now, the useless eaters. And by the way, if you like to study the Bible, don't forget every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. right here on the Big Picture channel. I do a in-depth, week-by-week, verse-by-verse study. So join us here and invite people to study the Bible with us. The one last thing before we leave this article, I want to show you this one thing here. It says, why is this so important? Central banks, private banks, government authorities, and global designers will have the power to turn on and off transactions of every kind. They can use an algorithm to determine precisely what the CBDC money can be spent on, when and under what conditions, and by who. At the touch of a button, when this happens, programmable cash in the form of CBDCs can block the sale of firearms, alcohol, cannabis, tobacco, or other sensitive products, but that's just the start, and we all knew that. At the same touch of a button, programmable CBDCs can prevent the sale of meat, dairy, candy, junk food, disallow the purchase of gasoline or use of a vehicle, and an endless array of other examples. Do you get the idea?
What if you really need to see your doctor or really needed your medication, your prescription?
But your social score didn't match what they wanted to match. Well, they can stop you from going to the doctor.
There you go.
So let's talk a little bit about how this is also integrating into Brics and what they're doing with their currency, Sandy. China. Here we go. Now, we know the U.S. dollar, the petrodollar, is going by way of the dinosaur because of Brics. But look at this article. Every foreign company, it's been revealed today through intelligence, through Chairman Mike Gallagher, Republican from Wisconsin, reveals that they have found that every foreign company in China, you name it, whether it's Huawei, whether it's TikTok, every foreign company in China accepts CCP, which is, of course, the Communist Party of China, as a business partner. Now, you think that people say, well, TikTok's not really owned by China. That's a bunch of baloney. They are. They might not be owned, but they control it. Watch this. The Chinese Communist Party, CCP, is a partner of every foreign company doing business in China.
You're literally talking about no matter where they're from, what part of the world.
If they're Chinese companies, every Chinese company that's doing, and if you're doing business with them, is what they're saying. Okay. If you're doing business with a Chinese-owned company, you're doing business with China.
Gotcha.
He says a congressional committee warned on Thursday as lawmakers and experts went to great lengths to explain how corporate environments in China are vastly different. Quote, there is no such thing as a private company in China. He says during the opening statement of a hearing focused on the risk of American companies operating in China. Mr. Gallagher said that different Chinese laws, including the CCP's recently updated anti-espionage law and data security law, have codified what has always been true, which is, quote, Beijing reserves the right to swipe any data, seize any assets, and filch any IP it wishes. Goes on to say, China's military civil fusion policy means that any private company can be effectively turned into an arm of the PLA or the Communist Intelligence Apparatus. Communist Intelligence Apparatus. That means your TikTok app that's tracking your data is absolutely going to the Chinese government. China is playing the long game, y'all. It's the 100-year marathon. They have set out for 100 years.
There you go.
There's a book called The 100-Year Marathon where they set out with a 100-year plan to rule the world. And they have been absolutely disciplined to it and deceptive from the top to the bottom.
They certainly have, and they are very effective.
They are very effective. They have bought up land all over the world, all over our country. Countries owe them billions of dollars. They have the ability to manipulate governments. And at the same time, they are building one of the largest militaries that's ever existed.
It's not even that. They've gone into countries and built infrastructure in other countries.
Absolutely.
And when these countries can't pay them back, which I think that's part of the plan, they just go in and say, well, it's ours now.
Yeah, and there's like, okay, I tell you what, instead of paying us back that $5 billion you owe us, launch an attack against this country for us and call it a terrorist attack. Do you understand what I'm saying? They can look at a terrorist country like let's say, an Iran or even Saudi Arabia or something like that, and just say, look, we need you to activate some people and do some things for us so it's not us that's doing it. We can deny that it's us that's doing it, but you owe us that money. We'll wipe that debt out if you'll do it.
I don't know the number, but I'm curious, how many companies inside our country are Chinese owned?
Oh my goodness!
Because
there's just it's unbelievable amounts, and maybe not a lot of them even solely owned, but majority owned. There is so many countries. I would be interested. I'm gonna look that up because it's a lot. I've heard that number before. It's shocking. But see, while that's going on, Sandy, there's Brics. Brics is, if you don't know what Brics is by now, you need to see this symbol here. Okay, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa is what BRICS stands for. Now, watch this. The U.S. dollar dominance will substantially weaken with what BRICS is doing now. Just this week, in the middle of a war, in the middle of another war that's coming with China, BRICS launches a gold-backed cryptocurrency. Now, of course, in America, we did away with the gold standard. I don't remember what year it was.
74, I think.
Okay. So we did away with it. We used to have gold in Fort Knox and gold stored other places. Every dollar was backed by $1 in gold. When we did away with that, our money just basically...
All the gold in Fort Knox.
Exactly.
Well, you can't say that anymore.
All the gold in Fort Knox. Is that how it goes?
California.
Oh, California. Spirit of Paul Begley just got on me. So watch this. Russia recently announced the gold market's new bullish momentum with the introduction of a new trading currency backed by gold.
This is unbelievable.
It is.
Cryptocurrency backed by gold.
Backed by gold. This compounds the de-dollarization trend unfolding in the global economy, which included the prevalent historic pace of purchasing precious metals by central banks worldwide since the middle of 2022 to diversify their reserve away from the U.S. dollar. According to state-run international news portal, RT, Russian television, Russian President Vladimir Putin's administration confirmed that Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, Brics, are set to announce at the Brics Summit in August in South Africa the launch of the new gold-backed trading currency. Quote, with the growing initiative, more and more countries are lining up to join the group, the news outlet said. Let's listen to this Russian propaganda channel.
The Brics group is set to introduce a new currency backed by gold, in contrast to the credit-backed US dollar, with countries lining up to join the growing initiative.
The BRICS countries are planning to introduce a new trading currency which will be backed by gold. More and more countries recently expressed desire to join BRICS.
The decision comes a month ahead of scheduled Alliance Summit in Johannesburg, South Africa. 41 countries have since shown their interest in BRICS membership and its new currency implementation. Russia's foreign ministry has stated that if African states show enthusiasm, the group's expansion may also be on a Russia-Africa summit's agenda at the end of July. As of now, the BRICS...
Did you hear that? That expansion will also be on their agenda.
The group remains comprised of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. Former Statistician General of South Africa, Pali Leholas.
All right, Billy's done some research. Let me throw this up here.
Thank you, Billy Mitchell.
As of January 9th, 2023, there were 252 Chinese companies listed on the U.S. exchanges with a total market capitalization of $1.3 trillion. Oh, my goodness.
Well, let's get back to this for a minute. So, okay, we're going to have this important meeting in August in South Africa to have this launch of this new gold-backed cryptocurrency.
Yep.
Well, okay, yeah. How good does that look to all these other countries of the world that are, number one, sick of American dominance and sick of being mistreated and pushed around by the United States of America?
Exactly. Yep. And look at this. BRICS plans to introduce the new trading currency in August. Gold standard. It says 41 countries already have applied for BRICS membership.
Of course they're going to do that because this is solid backing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
versus
gold. It's gold.
Yeah.
It's gold. France. We reported this 2 weeks ago. France, one of the founding members of the G7, that we meet together as the freedom-loving countries of the world would meet together and talk about the economy. France has went to BRICS and said, we want to leave the G7. We want to join BRICS. France wants to join BRICS and leave the G7. Let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the world we live in. The dominance of the United States is being eroded right before our very eyes. And there's a lot of reasons I could say that. And I think there's some obvious reasons that most of you know. There used to be a fear of America, but there's not there now.
Our weak leadership does not help that cause at all.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So I want to skip this one. I'm going to go to the next one here. So, one of the things that we, when I got that random trail derailment thing in there out of order, one of the things I want to talk about is how these train derailments, how these fires, how these explosions at these processing plants and all this, how it has so affected the food supply of our country.
Let's add to that pile of things you just said, all the recalls.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish we could know over the last 2 or 3 years what amount of food has been supposedly recalled, because some people I listen to believe that food's not actually being recalled. It's just being rerouted to some of these underground bases and cities and stored.
Things that make you go,
Things that make you go,
Yep. So let's talk about that.
Right.
So this article is encouraging people to store up food because 2.4 billion people already do not have enough food as this new global famine accelerates.
Yeah, this story is devastating. some of these percentages and numbers.
Global food supplies just keep getting tighter, and global hunger has risen to extremely alarming levels. People on the other side of the world are literally starving to death as I write this article. But most of us in the Western world simply do not care about the millions that are deeply suffering.
Let's pause here.
Okay.
I don't think it's that most people don't care. They just don't know.
That's true. That's true. One of my spiritual sons is in Uganda, and he's having to close part of his orphanage. He's taking care of children because he cannot feed them.
And they were barely hanging on inside the orphanage.
Yeah, he may be watching now.
What now?
I'm just so proud of the work that he does, but it costs money, even in poor third world countries, to buy food. And if you don't have the money, you can't buy it. And of course, we're helping them as much as we can, but we are not able to solve it all.
And guess what? It's not just the United States. It's having problems with their weather and climate.
Yeah.
If they're also having problems over there, the price of food, the availability of food is going to be harder to come by.
Yep. And it says, but the truth is we are feeling the impact of this global crisis too. And it goes on to say that on Friday, he says, I went to the grocery store and a small bag of chips that I would once buy for 99 cents is now have a regular price of $5.99 stamped on it. Throughout the store, there's so many products I refused to purchase because I thought they had simply become way too expensive. Those prices are not going back down or where they once were. Food inflation is here to stay. I would be interested in the live chat to get some comments on food inflation. Have you seen the dramatic increases in food supplies? We've talked about this before, Sandy. You're the one that handles the groceries and stuff. I mean, have you ever seen a time in our marriage that food went up this dramatically, this quick?
No. And I know it's not as bad, but I did see a bag of just potato chips for $5 recently, and I was astounded. And I refused to pay that price. I'm like, there's no way. We're going to do the store brand, or we're just not going to have that because I can't do that at this moment in my life. And I hope that I don't have to, but in the future. But it's some of these, it's not across the board. It's not every single thing. But when you come across that one item that you haven't bought in a while, and then all of a sudden you need it and you realize this is 30% more than the last time I bought it, that's a wake-up call, and it's very disturbing.
Yeah, and just this one statistic here, it says 2.4 billion people. Think about this. There's 8 billion people on this planet. 2.4 billion people are estimated to not have enough food to adequately eat, to have some kind of decent life. And many of them are just starving to death.
Right. I don't know if that's above or below, but I believe this same article also says the UN has stated that nearly 30% of the global population does not have a constant access to food right now.
30%
of the world.
Almost right at a third of the world, just under a third of the world.
How many people in this country know that, have heard that?
Exactly.
I hadn't heard it until this article.
And if the United Nations admits that, it's probably worse than that. Because they want to always downplay.
Maybe it's not as bad. Maybe it's worse.
I think it's worse.
If it's even in the middle.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah, farmers across our region are grappling with massive crop losses due to flooding, some of them through drought. There's just so many things that are happening to hurt the farmers. And then, of course, then they got to use the seeds that are told them that they got to use. They can't reharvest their seeds anymore. They can only use one season seeds from Monsanto and all of that, to where they got to grow it and then it dies. Yeah. Where farmers of old knew the art of reseeding and having generational seeds, those days are gone.
Yeah, those heirloom seeds are ever so valuable. And when I try to plant in the spring, I try to get heirloom seeds.
So we then have, we've had power plants or power substations attacked. We've had train derailments. We've had all kinds of things. And now we have this article here. This is, I don't know how to say this name here.
Ethylene glycol?
No, the name of this place.
Oh, Plaquemine.
Plaquemine plant. Look at this explosion in the background. This is an explosion that just happened. It's like an atomic bomb back there. And it goes on to say, I don't know why this is in front of my screen here.
Is this Louisiana?
This is Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Parish. On Friday, July 14th, multiple explosions. Get off of there. I don't like that. Why are you doing this? This is stupid. Okay, you're making me mad now. Okay, Baton Rouge, on Friday, July 14th, multiple explosions were reported at the Dow chemical plant in Plaquemine. All employees were accounted for, no injuries reported, no damage outside. A fire, however, continued to burn for hours after the boom rocked nearby neighborhoods. Now, this is a place that makes antifreeze. So several explosions happened in the facility's glycol or antifreeze area, causing a fire. And as of 10:50 p.m., he said there were no injuries and all workers were accounted for. It says the cause of the explosion is unknown, but something in the process went wrong. So here's my question. What happens when antifreeze burns? I mean, I don't know if anybody's addressing what antifreeze does when it burns. And here's another shot somebody took of their camera of this plant burning. Look at that. It looks like a bomb.
Well, we know it's poisonous to animals, so...
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Sorry about that.
Colorful language.
I guess I missed that the first time I caught this. So that was not me. That was no one in the big picture.
Yeah, I'm sure nobody's ever heard that word before.
Yeah. That's so I've muted the sound now so you can see that. So look at that. It's literally like like a mushroom cloud. I will get a lot of comments on this one, I'm sure. But I want this is a antifreeze company. And why? Why is this happening? Why is so many places blowing up?
Burning down.
Airplanes
crashing into them.
Why is an antifreeze place exploding?
Right.
I know things have exploded, but do you ever remember so many things exploding, so many trains derailing, so many fires?
We are experiencing a societal breakdown, meltdown. We're experiencing a corporate level meltdown / breakdown. We are experiencing a breakdown of the airline system, which you just went through and experienced yourself tonight. I got an email from our accountant saying, we really just can no longer count on the USPS, United States Postal System. So we just want to do electronic correspondence now.
Wow.
We don't want to depend on you getting something to us or us getting something to you through the mail system. What is the phrase they always said? Whether or through
rain, sleet, snow, or shine, nothing can stop the U.S. Postal Service.
We are undergoing
what happened?
A literal breakdown of almost every system, the infrastructure. It's crazy in this modern age of all this technology and how we're supposed to be able to be so efficient and so reliable. We are less efficient and less reliable than I don't know when. Maybe back into the inception of all of these systems.
Oh, yeah. But don't worry. AI is going to help fix that. We'll get to that in a minute. But, yeah, thank you for smashing that like button and subscribing to our channel, to all our new subscribers. We got a lot of new subscribers this week. Welcome to the big picture.
Yes.
We're so excited
Look
to be
at all
here.
these new folks.
I know.
Goodness.
I can't wait to read the live chat.
Great.
Hey, it's going to take us extra time tonight because we've got to read an hour's worth of live chat before we're ever even on there.
Well, here's another comment by Ricky. The hand of favor is being lifted and evil has penetrated.
Yes, absolutely. He's so right.
Once again, he's right.
He's so right. That brother's on it. So let's look at this. European Union proposes restrictive law that would force households and business to reduce their waste by 30% by... I need a sound effect that goes ding, 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 ding.
You really
that
do.
I play every time I say 2030. Because do we not mention the date 2030 every single week?
Multiple times every single week.
And can I tell you something?
If you haven't gotten the point by now, I don't know what else it's going to take for you to get. 2030 is this very important, pivotal year.
And when you read, listen, it's not just 2030. It's 17 sustainable goals set out by the United Nations to be in effect by 2030. You need to go research and read the 17. I've got a former show that I did, but I'll do another show in the future breaking down those 17 goals. They are absolutely crazy, insane. So you read them and you're like, there's no way we're going to get there by 2030. Well, then you start looking at all these things that are happening so fast. And then you got war, and then you got the potential of a new wang coming, and all this kind of stuff. And you can see how they are going at turbo speed to get us there.
These folks are chiming in. Engineered destruction to bring America down. That is what's going on. I've seen multiple comments about it's done on purpose. They're trying to destroy everything. They're tearing it all down.
Yep.
I agree.
So watch this. The EU must establish, quote, must establish and attain comprehensive food waste reduction targets of 50% across the entire supply chain from farm to fork. The European Commission has proposed legally binding targets that reduce food waste by 2030, including a 30% reduction for households, restaurants, and retail, but organizations, lawmakers warn it does not match international ambition to have half food waste. On Wednesday, July 5th, the European Commission unveiled one of the most awaited packages by agri-food stakeholders, which deals with, quote, sustainable use of key natural resources such as soil and plant reproductive materials. The package was delayed by a month, but includes proposals to reduce food waste as part of a revision to the EU's Waste Framework Directive in place since 2018. 2008, excuse me. According to the EU's executive's proposed scheme, member states will be legally obliged to reduce overall food waste in stores, restaurants, and households by 30% per capita by the end of 2030, based on 2020 figures. In addition, a 10% reduction binding target will be put in place to tackle food waste during the processing and manufacturing of food. More and more and more and more and more control.
And since all your currency is going to be programmable and loadable and basically controllable, if you don't do it, you're going to get fined. You're going to get penalized. And it's really going to happen.
Yep. And then we have the border. The border, people don't even talk about the border anymore.
No.
So Texas did something on the Rio Grande.
This was interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if you saw what they did. If you've seen I don't know if this article has pictures of it. I've seen the pictures of the Boyer barrier. And they took giant buoys. And they took these giant buoys, I mean massive. They come in on 18-wheelers. And they floated them in a chain to basically create, like if you're not going to build a wall, we're going to build a floating wall across the Rio Grande, which many of them come across. So what does Mexico do? Mexico files a complaint against Texas.
How dare you?
Buoy barrier.
How dare you try to protect your border?
And that's another sound effect we need. We need, how dare you? Oh, how dare you?
That's a great idea.
Says it violates. I'm going to read it again because I'm for the people in the back. They didn't hear me. I'm going to say it a little bit louder for the people in the back. Mexico files a complaint against a floating barrier keeping illegal aliens coming across our border illegally, saying that it violates boundary laws. Now, I know Mexico is really, really interested in boundary laws and enforcing boundary laws. Officials from Mexico filed a complaint to the U.S. government regarding the buoy barrier installed by Texas along the Rio Grande River, citing that it may violate international treaties. On Friday, Mexico's Foreign Relations Secretary announced that the country will send an inspection team to evaluate the barrier along the river to see if it violates any treaties.
I'd like to see what treaty that it possibly violates.
Exactly. What about the treaty of being a sovereign nation and having a border? What about that?
Well, they know that's not true anymore. So
Exactly. Texas GOP Governor Greg Abbott said that this barrier was installed to protect the border. Quote, this strategy will proactively prevent illegal crossings between ports of entry by making it more difficult to cross the Rio Grande and reach the Texas side of the border. The Texas governor being sued over this action by a legal pass resident and kayaking outfitter Jesse Fuentes. So somebody that makes kayaks to help people float across the river illegally is mad and filing a complaint against the governor for hurting. Listen, this is a serious topic. We just saw the movie Sound of Freedom.
Yeah, so we need to talk about that.
We need to talk about The Sound of Freedom. Wow. Now, I did a show on it that you need to go watch. It was one of the most watched shows I've done in a long time. But it's called this show is activating demons. This movie is activating demons. And so one of the biggest ways that the trafficking is happening is on our southern border. Yep. And we got people mad because they can't put people on a kayak to float across. Well, a lot of people is going across the kayak. We're talking about tens of thousands of children that have come across that water without a parent.
Yep.
And by the way, we've lost like 20-something thousand children. We have no idea where they ended up. And we want to get mad because there's a floating barrier to try to, at the very least, just slow down to where.
Well, let's talk about this. What took so long?
Yeah, that's a good question.
To me, this is a sad, pathetic attempt at anything. But now that we've had probably anywhere between 5 and 10 million people that have come through since that fateful day, January 20th or 21st, 2021.
Yeah.
Now we're going to throw up a plastic barricade?
Exactly. That's a good question. It's a good question. But, talking about trafficking, it really has, this movie really has activated demons. I mean, it's the meme that goes around like, tell me you're not this, tell me you're this without telling me this. Yeah. I say to you that have a problem with this movie, I say this, and I don't care if I get flagged for saying it one time because they don't like you to say this word. Yeah. And that makes me sick that you can't say this word. But they don't like you saying the word pedophile. So I want to say, tell me you're a pedophile without telling me that you're a pedophile. Well, one of the ways you do that is by coming against a movie that is exposing human trafficking and specifically children being trafficked. And by the way, we've seen this movie. Yeah. And let me tell you something. It is not graphic.
No, it's not.
It doesn't show anything like they're trying to tell you they show. There's no QAnon in it. There's no conspiracy in it. It is simply exposing sick, demon-possessed people. That's what it is. And let me tell you what happens. Wait a minute. I'm on this rant. Let me stay on this rant.
Here we go.
Because the movie comes out, and what does the Department of Justice do?
Oh, yes.
When the movie comes out?
Throw that up there. Mm-hmm.
The Department of Justice, July 12th dated, erases child sex trafficking information from its website. I'm just going to read this. The Department of Justice quietly removed significant portions of its page that was previously there, put by the former administration, on child sex trafficking, including information on international sex trafficking of minors, domestic sex trafficking of minors, and child victims of prostitution. While it is unclear what prompted the revisions, conservatives point to the changes as the Biden administration is not taking crimes around child exploitation seriously. Quote, for some reason, people on the left get really uncomfortable and defensive talking about child sexual exploitation. Republican administrations direct more research, blah, blah, blah. The fact that these issues get pulled back is despicable. Yeah. It's despicable.
It is. And let's do a little...
This is the Department of Justice, Sandy.
Exactly.
From their website. And by the way, while I'm still on this rant, I'm going to finish it. This week, the state of California the Republicans tried to pass a law that would make it a serious felony to abuse a child and traffic a child, and the other party blocked it and would not allow it to go through. Now, you can say what you want to say. Now, I'm not saying everybody's evil as a part of any particular party, but those people, if you're on the record of voting against protecting a child, my God, I'm trying not to cry right now. Exactly. This angers me. And you're the Department of Justice, and you quietly remove. Why? Why couldn't you just leave it if you didn't agree with it?
Why would anyone ever do that?
Why?
Well, let's just do a little drill down here. So this obviously is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yes.
It just sickens me to even say that exploiting children is an industry, but it really, really is.
It's the second most profitable criminal industry in the world, and it's about to become the number one.
I was just about to say, it has already surpassed gun running and all the weapons, and it's about to surpass the drug industry. Do you know
drug cartels, generational drug cartel families, are quitting drugs
to go do this.
to do this.
Why? Why is it so profitable? Number one, because obviously there is a big clientele out there. But number two, this is what they say. I can only sell that gun or that drug once, but I can sell that child, that person, multiple times a day.
God almighty.
I don't even. So listen, go see the movie.
Yes.
Go see the movie. Support this effort because it's worthy. It's a worthy cause.
Yes,
and like
it
he
is.
said, it's not graphic. It tells the story and lays the story out for you and the history, and you can get a better idea of how this happens, what goes on, and walk away having a better understanding and supporting a great cause.
And I've heard a lot, especially mothers. I've heard people say, "I support this, but I don't think I could sit through this movie because I can't see this." Can I tell you something? First of all, it's not what you think it is. It's like she just said, they don't show that.
Right.
It's very done
we
very
had the
well.
same concerns.
We had those same
and
concerns.
we walked away from the movie
Yes.
well pleased
Yes.
that it was a quality movie.
Yes.
And
Phenomenal.
we understood the story of Tim Ballard?
Yes, Tim Ballard.
Ballard's life. And we weren't, like you said, it wasn't gory.
No, it wasn't. But it causes you to say, there's something I can do.
Yes.
And one thing I can do, and I love what, spoiler alert at the end, don't leave before the credits are over if you go see it. But although I've seen several people videoing from there, movie theaters are turning the sound off when the credits go. So you see Jim Caviezel up there talking and you can't hear him. And I'm saying to myself, no one has ever turned the sound off during the credits ever of any movie I've ever been to.
Or claimed broken screens or the air conditioner wasn't working or whatever.
Fire alarm was pulled. All this kind of stuff. In only this theater. The rest of the theaters were fine. This theater. Listen, this is just demons manifesting.
It is.
But they're manifesting all over the place.
They are.
So I want to transition. We can stay here all night, but I want to transition over this, and I want to just say that and go to this next article. I don't know if you heard about this, but Swedish police are authorizing the burning of the Bible and the Torah outside of their Israeli embassy. Now, why? Why would a government authorize the burning of the Bible and the Jewish Torah outside of the Israeli embassy? Well, Stockholm police on Friday said the police have authorized a protest this weekend by a man who has stated that he wants to burn the Torah and the Bible outside the Israeli embassy in Stockholm. Israeli officials called on the Swedish government to stop the protest, which is scheduled to take place Saturday outside the diplomatic mission. Sweden recently faced strong criticism from Muslim countries for allowing protesters to burn the Quran at small anti-Islam demonstrations. The man who filed the request for Saturday said he wanted to burn the Torah and the Bible outside of the Israeli embassy in response to the Quran burning outside the Stockholm mosque last month by an Iraqi immigrant.
Now read that next paragraph.
Stockholm police approved the protest in a decision obtained by the Associated Press, saying 3 people would participate in the demonstration outside of the Israeli embassy at 1 p.m.
Okay.
Now, it goes on to say, and why would they do this? Because...
And they'll have 75 news agencies out there.
Covering this one guy burning a Bible and the Torah. Well,
this is like, nah.
Exactly. But here's my question.
Okay, whatever.
Here's why I want to show this article. Here's my question. This is in response to someone, not a Jewish or Christian person, but an Iraqi immigrant who obviously has got a problem with Islam, burning the Quran. Mm-hmm. So you have a government. This is how different Christianity is looked at around the world. There is absolutely no way in this world, if the first one to be burned was the Bible, number one, if it would even make the news. Number two, there would be no government permission to get revenge.
No.
And now you're permitted as a Christian. The Christian is now permitted by the Swedish government to burn the Quran. There's no way possible. Because if you burn the Quran, you're going to be riots. But you burn the Bible and the Christians just stay silent. So not only that, here's the other thing. The United Nations has to get involved. The United Nations will never get involved to support Christians, but they will always get involved to support Muslims. So the United Nations, as a result of one man burning a Quran, has now adopted a global blasphemy law that adopts a resolution on Quran burning. Sweden must stop the burning of the Holy Quran. These men are celebrated, and I'm not faulting them for loving their holy book, but I promise you this, if you replace every single one of them persons saying, leave the Bible alone, the Bible is holy.
Do you find this interesting?
There would be no way that it would work.
Most all these signs are in English. There's one on the front that's not. But
so who's the audience?
How many of these people do you think speak English or can read?
Yeah. Who's the audience? It's our media, and they know that.
I mean, that's like years ago when these Middle East things would break out, and all the signs they're waving are in English, and they can't speak English, and they probably can't read English.
Because the money.
But on our nightly news, there it is in English for all of us to read.
The United Nations has voted to adopt a resolution on the Quran burning at an urgent meeting. An urgent meeting convened while wars are being planned to pull us into world wars. We got an emergency meeting.
Right.
Somebody burned a Quran, convened in Pakistan, where I just trained 500 pastors this morning. The key cheerleader, and by the way, I told them, be bold. I preached on Peter when Peter stood before the judges, and they told him, stop preaching in the name of Jesus. And Peter said, you know what? You be the judge if you think I ought to listen to you or not, but let me just tell you this right now. All I can do is talk about what I've seen and what I've heard, and you will not stop me from preaching in the name of Jesus. I told them Pakistani pastors, you are called for such a time as this. Stand up and preach Jesus.
And, what do you think about this as some kind of exercise, some kind of test of, okay, well, we can stop you doing this, and then what are they going to stop you talking about next?
Yeah.
What are they going to stop you demonstrating against next?
Yes, United Nations High Commissioner from Human Rights, Volker Turk, called for the limits of freedom of speech and expression, castigating merchants of chaos and provocateurs. The remarks came during a two-day session, and the session was countering religious hatred constituting incitement to discrimination, hostility, or violence. Actually, an urgent meeting called by the body on behalf of Pakistan over a recent state of Quran burnings. 2 days they met on the emergency meeting to talk about this guy that burned the Quran. The resolution was passed 28-12. This is the world that, the kooky people want to turn our whole world over to the United Nations.
Right.
Think about what I'm saying. United Nations does not care about you. They care about their own agenda. And that is it. Can I get somebody to give me a high five? Can I get somebody to give me a like? If you hadn't hit that like button, hit that like button. I'm going to go ahead and just preach tonight.
We got more good news, so nobody leave.
Nobody leave. Can I tell you something? I am operating on pure caffeine right now in the Holy Ghost.
Woo!
Y'all don't even know.
Do you feel like Ric Flair anointing coming on?
I do. I do feel it.
Oh, my favorite dude.
Yeah, look at here. Your friendly Windows computer guy, Bill Gates. Y'all know those eyes. The World Health Organization, the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, and Bill Gates. Think about how all of those go together. You've got the World Health Organization, the Center for Disease Control, and a guy that started a computer company out of his garage.
Oh, we're going to start using this. CJ Fitzgerald says the United Nothing.
Ha! I like that. I like that. That's the United Nothing.
I love it. This story is ridiculous.
Okay, so what's what they're pushing for, y'all? Peel and stick vaccine patches mailed directly to people's homes.
You annoying people. You're just so much trouble. We're going to help you out, but we don't even want to see you anymore.
No.
We're sending it directly to you. Don't count on the United States Postal Service, though.
Look at him.
Maybe they'll get lost in the mail.
Look at this. Look at this geek. We were supposedly told that this was a geek, and that's all he was. What I want to know, was he always what he is now, or did he become this? I don't know.
I think he was always sinister.
Okay.
Because, we've talked about his parents before.
Yeah.
A lot of that had to have rubbed off. But
yeah.
Listen, this is a front man.
Let's read this.
He's a puppet.
To get more people to accept his chemical injections. Thank you for that super sticker, Steve Taylor.
Oh, thanks, Steve Taylor. Awesome.
Big one. All the way from the Philippines. He's watching us from the Philippines right now with his family.
Forgot about that. Great vacation.
So with chemical injections, billionaire eugenist. Notice they don't even call him billionaire computer inventor. He's now called a eugenist.
Eugenicist.
I'm sorry, my English is not real proper. I can't tell you the people that came up to my book signing table and said, "Let me guess, Alabama or Georgia," and they because they said I had some kind of accent
Southern
or something.
drawl.
I don't know. I didn't know I had that. In concert with the World Health Organization and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is working on a new microneedle vaccine patch technology whereby people will be able to peel and stick the patches on themselves through the mail service. We are told that mRNA gene therapy technology can be implemented into those patches, which can theoretically be mailed throughout the United States Postal Service to every household in the country. The apparent goal is to continually eject people's bodies with gene therapy chemicals, blah, 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 blah.
And part of the reason for this, of why you got to come back and get another one and get a booster, is, quite frankly, just as computer systems and software need updates.
Yeah.
If this is mRNA technology, gene therapy into your body, guess what? It's going to need its updates as well.
Yeah, and I want to make sure you understand that I'm not saying this is out now. This is a proposal.
Right.
But let me tell you, if they're proposing it and letting it get out, then they're working on it.
Well, it has another name or reference. What is that? Somebody out there knows what I'm talking about. The tattoo. Something about.
Yeah, I've seen the biometric tattoo. I've seen those.
This has to be something along
because
the line
one lady
of
was
that.
talking about that they can get their medicine, their daily something through this tattoo. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
It's not the same thing, but I think it's in the ballpark of these kind of technologies.
Right now, this is how they're selling it because it's always for your good. Oh, right now, the only way.
They love you so much. You're so precious to them.
Yes, you're so precious. Precious, my precious. Right now, the only way to get a wah-wah is to visit the doctor's office at the local pharmacy. A consumer cannot just go pick up a wah-wah off the shelf and administer it directly. Someone else has to do it and sign off on it. The new peel and stick technology bypasses all of that. The goal is to market the microneedle vaccine patches directly to consumers, allowing them to order online and have them delivered by mail. Now, look, like I said, this is all, suggested, working on it. But as we've said many times, doubt everything you hear, but once you start hearing.
Just think of it as predictive programming.
Right,
if they're talking about quantum dot tattoo, thank you, Willow.
Our family's so knowledgeable.
God, they're so smart.
They're so smart.
We have the smartest audience.
We do.
They are amazing. But if they're talking about it, it's just like seed being planted. Get ready. It's probably coming somewhere. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we got some interesting stuff here. Sticky Notes is saying there's a patch called Palisade Patch. There are some pictures going around on the internet unless they scrub them, and it's by ear. Local Microsoft dude also. Okay.
Now, this I've not heard of. This is interesting. I got to look into that.
That's right, Alicia. My precious. Okay.
So I hope we're going to be going. Okay, I was hoping we were going to this story next.
Yep, we're going to it. And here we go. Here we go. You ready?
Yes.
Are hospitals forcibly. Now, I'm going to tell you, before I read this, I have been suspecting this all along. And I'm not saying it's happening, but I would not be shocked if it is. Are hospitals forcibly giving patients a wah-wah vaccine while under anesthesia? Now, before I read it, I'm going to come back off here and tell you real quick why I believe this is probably happening in some hospitals, because when you will not, even to this day, it is still happening, people will not get organ transplants because they've not had the wah-wah. I mean, they can't give their organs when they even pass away if they didn't have it in their system. And then there's other people that are being turned down and are dying because they could not get a transplant that was available to them because they refused to have the wah-wah. And if you're in this day and age, you are letting people die on the table because you will not give them a kidney. This happened just this past week. So a lady died this week in some hospital, I can't remember where it was, that could not receive a kidney because she would not take the wah-wah because she told them, it's not that I'm against it, it's I have problems with wah-wahs and they affect my body and I'm afraid it's going to maybe adversely affect me.
So in this country, in our country?
I'm not sure. I don't want to say for sure. I think it was in our country. I can't remember if it's here or Canada, but it was not in a third world country. But
you know what?
She died.
Whatever.
She died.
That's ridiculous, no matter where you live.
Right now, especially. It's ridiculous anytime, but especially now. Our hospitals and medical practitioners putting people under anesthesia as an excuse to covertly inoculate subjects with the wah-wah vaccine. At the very least, it's been proposed and touted as a potential option. Recently, a woman wrote in a blog post that she is scheduled to receive surgery later this year, and naturally, she will have to be put under to perform the operation. She and her husband have not received the wah-wah. Neither do they have any intentions of getting one in the future. However, there's the threat that she might be vaccinated without her consent while she's unconscious, which is an actual possibility. So she plans to forego the surgery. And it goes on to quote a 2021 short piece titled Implications of Anesthesia and Vaccination, published by the National Institute of Health. And it says, advocated for vaccinating patients while they are knocked out under anesthesia. It reads, the current wah-wah pandemic has had a global impact on vaccination rates. Delays in routines, healthcare, and immunizations have led to a rise in concerns about resurgence of vaccine-preventable diseases in the world. It says one approach would be a consideration of preoperative vaccinations. However, the effects of the anesthesia and surgery on the immune response and complications associated with vaccination during the preoperative period are still poorly understood. So there again, we're back to, we're not saying this is happening, but we're saying people are talking about it. We're saying people are proposing. As Sandy said, it's almost like predictive programming. If they let this get out to where the discussion gets going, that means they've already probably done it or they're getting ready to do it.
What are you possibly thinking? If they've made it to the operating room and you're around them and they haven't been vaccinated, if something was going to jeopardize you, you're already jeopardized.
Exactly.
And it's so wrong to do this to people without their knowledge.
We have lost their mind. I'm telling you, people they lost their mind during this thing.
Lost their mind. But you know what? They're probably getting some kind of incentive / kickback from the United States government, just like they were during the height of COVID.
Yep. But you know what? We ain't been to California a lot. We've been to California maybe a couple of times, and Las Vegas. And one of our favorite things that we do when we go out there, y'all.
First place I want to hit.
Oh! Is In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah.
I don't know how y'all feel about it.
That place.
I love me some In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah.
And man, do y'all know the In-N-Out Burger underneath every cup that everybody drinks from, there's a scripture? Did y'all know that? You flip the cup up and written inside the bottom of that cup, that's an In-N-Out cup, it's got John 3:16 or some kind of scripture, because it's a very Christian-owned company. And so in other words, all them Hollywood elites that love In-N-Out that don't believe in God, they just sipping John 3:16, didn't even know.
Yeah, y'all just keep right on eating those burgers.
But you know what In-N-Out Burgers did this week? It's crazy. I mean, nobody's done this. And I want to know, I would love to be a fly on the wall that was in that boardroom meeting that just said, you know what?
That would have been interesting.
We're going to go against every possible thing while everybody's going woke and going broke. In-N-Out Burger implements and sends out messages to all their restaurants this week requiring employees to, if they want to wear a mask, they have to have a medical note telling them that they should wear a mask.
Booyah! Take that.
Says basically banning masks. You got not a medical excuse to not wear a mask. You have to have a medical excuse to wear a mask at In-N-Out Burger. This was actually on Fox News when I was in the hotel. I saw it. In-N-Out, the beloved California fast food empire, has sparked level hate over a new policy that will require employees to present a medical note if they want to wear a mask to work. Dr. Lucky Tran, a science influencer, How about that? A science influencer. Who knew we'd ever have science influencers? Exactly. Shared the new In-N-Out mask policy on Twitter, which was reportedly sent out to employees via memo ahead of policy implementation date. Quote, although In-N-Out has not publicly commented on the policy, Tran shared screenshots from the email she received that appeared legitimate. The new policy will apply to stores in Arizona, Colorado, Nevada, Texas, and Utah. It stipulates that no employee may wear a mask unless they provide a medical note that exempts them from the requirement. If they provide the medical note, they must wear a company-provided N95 mask unless they can produce another note exempting them from that requirement too. You can't even buy your own N95 if you work in and out. In-N-Out will reportedly not enforce the policy in its home state of California. What? I didn't read that part. For employees who wish to wear a mask, the new policy says the medical note must clearly state the reason for the exemption, including the estimated duration that the mask will be needed. People who fail to comply can face disciplinary action up to and including termination of employment. You wear that mask to in and out.
You're going to be fired.
You're fired. What in the world? Is this real? I mean, like I said, I saw it on the Fox News. I don't know. I'm not saying that makes it real. But I'm saying I've seen it on several news items that this is actually the copy of the screenshot of the email that was sent out. Now, I don't know how in the world they're getting around it. Why they're not doing it in California. They must be scared to death of old Gavin. But
yeah, probably.
But, wow. Okay, so what do y'all think about that? I'm curious to know your thoughts on the first business in the midst of all this going, saying, let me tell you something. You wear a mask, you're fired. You know what I think it's all about?
I think this is great that we had this story right now so I could laugh at something.
Yeah, we needed a little comedy break.
Yeah.
But you know what I think it's about? I think it's about customer service. I mean, you want to see somebody's face. You want to talk to them. You want to smile. I remember when we went in and out, they were so nice. They were just so life-giving and all this. And they were all hollering at each other, doing their little things that they do, cutting their fries, making their fries and stuff. It was a fun thing to go to. It was an environment. And if everybody's in a mask, it just sort of changes it. And I think In-N-Out just said, look, we care about customer service. We want people to see us smiling again.
Or they're just sick of it all.
Yeah, they must be sick of it all.
They don't want you to say it anymore.
Well, I think there's a pushback happening around the country, around the world on the wah-wah. And there's, if anything that came out of that whole thing, that the global pandemic and all of this, it drew a line in the sand. It really pushed the sheep really further into being sheep. But it also caused some people that are not really even conservative, may not be Christian, may not have ever thought they would ever line up with anything on the right or something like that, to say, you know what, this don't make sense. I can't do this anymore. So even in Germany, which was one of the highest wah-wah vaccinated countries in the world, apparently the German people have said, I don't want them either, because this came out today, a couple of days ago, 4 days ago. Germany is having to scrap, throw away, and destroy up to 200 million COVID-19 vaccine.
Have they reached their expiration date or something?
Germany has thrown away 83 million vaccine doses and is prepared to scrap another 120 million at a cost of 4 billion euros or $4.5 billion. After the number of Germans willing to get the boosters have plummeted. The country scrapped 29 million doses in the first quarter of 23 and discarded another 54 million by the end of 22. This number is likely to be higher, however. Germany's health ministry failed to provide the amount scrapped in the second quarter of 2023, according to a total volume of totally disposed wah-wah vaccine does acquire the Federal Republic of Germany cannot be quantified. So that's just not vaccines being thrown away. That is $4.5 billion. Now, let me tell you, that money came from taxes. That money came from people. That's money. That's $4.5 billion.
Is it euros? In euros?
Well, it's $4 billion in euros, equivalent to $4.5 billion in dollars. And it was picked up and thrown away and burned and incinerated because people said, enough.
Yeah,
Do you think people are finally waking up?
hope so. I mean, this seems like a strong indicator that they are, but they ought to be angry that, like you said, that much money was wasted also.
Well, what they really need is something new.
Okay, here we go.
So the World Health Organization yesterday issues a new warning over spread of bird flu to people, urges greater surveillance, and there's the word, vaccination. So we're going to throw away $4.5 billion in just Germany alone. Who knows what the number is globally? Yeah. And we're going to sell billions and billions of more for this new thing. There's a recent paradigm change in the ecology and epidemiology. Did I get it right?
You did good.
Did I do that?
Good, baby.
Boom! Of avian influenza. Spoke too soon. Which has heightened global concern as the disease spread to new geographical regions and caused unusual wild bird die-offs and alarming rise in mammalian cases.
Wow, you are crushing it right now.
I'm telling you, I need to operate on 3 hours of sleep every day.
Somebody throw up a high five or something out there.
Yes. The World Health Organization has recently issued a new warning. Can you imagine that? A new warning concerning the spread of avian influenza around the world and its potential to infect human hosts. I'm not going to bore everybody with all of this, but basically what it's saying is that more and more mammals are taking this on. It's called the bird flu, but they talk about cows and pigs and deer and all this that are getting it. And they're saying the more animals that are taking it, the more potential it is to transfer to human consumption as well. So they're trying to go ahead and let us know it's coming. Let us know it's coming.
It's so dangerous because it's such an efficient way to transmit because birds are, they can get around.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why they end up calling it the bird flu because that's how it spread. Am I right? Mainly, that's how it gets into other animals and all this, like I said, because the birds can spread it so easily and so quickly. All right, so let's transition again, and let's talk about, oh, my God.
Yes. Did I send you this?
You did. I'd already seen it, but you sent it to me. When I saw you send it to me, I said, okay, we'll go ahead and cover it. So here's another story about the wonderful world of Disney.
The not-so-wonderful world.
Maybe we need to, just like we have the AI supernatural segment we're about to have, and to close the show out, we need to have a Disney segment where we show the little Tinkerbell going around the castle back from when we was growing up watching the wonderful world of
Fairy
Disney.
dust.
Those days are over.
Yeah.
Demonic Disney unveils a new program, and I watched the trailer of this.
And this is in addition to my daughter married Satan.
Yeah.
Whatever that one was called.
Yeah, exactly. My daughter.
Or the girl married Satan, whatever.
Yeah. Gave birth to the baby, Satan's baby. Unveils a new program about a little girl who inherits a blood-drinking cult complete with ritualistic murder and human sacrifice. What? And I want you to think about the timing of when this came out. This news came out of this show that's already been made, but it was leaked out and the trailer was released on the week that Sound of Freedom was exploding. And everybody that's watched anything about it knows that Disney owned it and shut it down and said it would never see the light of day. They said no. Thank you for that super chat.
Zane McCurry.
Zane McCurry.
Nice.
What a man of God you are. Thank you.
That's great.
And so watch this. And now we get this. A new Disney show called Praise Petey is scheduled to premiere on July 21st on Freeform. Do you know what Freeform used to be?
Goodness.
The Family Channel.
It's the Family
You know what it used to be
Channel.
before that? The 700 Club, CBN.
CBN. You're right.
And now it's Freeform and Hulu. It's going to be on Hulu.
You think Pat Robertson's rolling over in his grave?
Oh, my goodness.
Right now?
I can't even comment on that. That used to be a 24-hour-a-day Christian station. It is now one of the nastiest grooming programming channels for young people there is.
Well, let's just pause right here before we go any further in this article. Parents, grandparents, guardians, caregivers, whatever. If you've not already been considering at least monitoring, if not just pulling the plug on Disney.
Yeah.
Now is the time where you need to do an evaluation of what your child, grandchild, whatever child you're responsible for that is in your care is consuming. Because like we say a lot around here, they're saying the quiet part out loud. Yeah. They're just pushing it all right out in your face.
Yep.
There's very little restraint anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So a new Disney show called Praise Petey is scheduled to premiere on July 21st. Exactly the kind of filth we have come to expect from the once trustworthy Disney empire. According to reports, Praise Petey is about a young girl who inherits a human-sacrificing, blood-drinking cult whose logo has the all-seeing eye, a product of the Disney Television Studios' 20th television animation. Praise Petey is something that parents will not want their children to watch, despite bearing the Disney brand name. Described by the Hollywood Reporter as, quote, an adult animated comedy, Praise Petey depicts a girl having to move from the big city to a place called New Utopia, where she is charged with taking care of her deceased father's ritualistic murder cult. It's a community her father founded, and it's not like most, the reporter described. Here, everyone's part of a cult. Even worse, they believe Petey's the prophesied savior. You being here means the prophecy of the great daughter's return is fulfilled. One of the characters voiced over by actor John Cho, in a fake Southern accent, says in the 2-minute teaser of the show. Now, I don't think this particular article has the trailer, but I watched the trailer. And I'm telling you, in the trailer, she's this fun-loving person who's going to come in and revamp the whole thing that her dad left her. She's freaking out and all this. She's up on a balcony. She walks up on a balcony. She looks down. And in this cartoon trailer, I've seen it with my own eyes, they lay a human body down. They're all dressed in red hoods with a pentagram, and they all have a knife. And they literally, in the trailer, watch them take the knife and go down towards the body. And right before it goes to the body, it cuts to her, and she's going like this.
This is literally being marketed to children?
No, it's been
just adult.
No, it's supposed to be purely an adult.
Purely adult.
But watch this. Cartoons are always appealing to children.
They're always appealing to children. Yes. So I'm glad that they're not straight up marketed, but
not openly. But I'm telling you, Disney is covertly doing that.
Sure, because if a child sees that, okay, like you said, it's animation, it's a cartoon. Yeah. Let me check this out. Let me see what this is about.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you remember, probably 3 to 5 years ago, Drew Barrymore was in this comedy, and the name of it was called Santa Clarita Diet.
Oh, yeah. I never saw it, but I know
it's about cannibalism, basically.
Yeah, she was like a zombie or something, wasn't she?
Well,
she had to feed her?
Whatever happened, yeah. So her husband had to go out and procure, for her to do her blood drinking and her cannibalism.
And it was made into a comedy.
A comedy, to soften it up so it could be more digestible for us.
No pun intended. That was a little weird.
Yeah, but...
If you hadn't hit that like button, do it now. Thank you.
I don't understand that. What's the matter with you?
What's wrong with y'all?
Hit the like button, people.
Yes.
This man is operating on caffeine.
I done drank his whole thing in front of y'all.
And a pack of Tic Tacs. He hasn't had any food.
Hadn't had no food, but I'm good. I made it. I ran in like OJ from the old days. Not the last OJ, but when OJ was good. When OJ was running, jumping over things.
When he was the juice.
Yeah, back good OJ. Good OJ.
I'm having some hair issues.
Yeah,
if anybody has any recommendations.
I still think you're looking good, baby. You don't need to change nothing. I like it. You don't need to change nothing.
Sweet.
You're looking good. So, all right. So, by the way, if you, I was going to show this right here, but never mind. All right. So let's go to this next one. We're winding down, y'all. We're winding down. So of course that means. There he is, Uncle Jimmy.
You missed him while you were gone.
I missed Uncle Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Uncle Jimmy. It's time for the Supernatural AI Update. I love that. That is cutting edge.
Strong.
That is strong.
It's so strong.
That's such cutting edge, y'all. So... all right, so what's our AI news for tonight? We have 3 articles that we're going to end the show with. And the first one is, do you like to eat at Chipotle? Do you like Chipotle?
I actually do, and I will have my Wide Awake coffee. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for that comment up there.
Yeah, yes.
So I do. I'm sad that we don't have one closer to us, but
Yeah.
you know,
It is good. It's different.
It is good and it's different. I feel special when I go
now,
there. Don't you?
but now you're really going to feel special.
Yay!
Because Chipotle is entering into the AI world.
Come on.
Chipotle introduces the avocado.
Of course.
Think about that. That's a pretty cool name. You got to give it to them. The avocado instead of avocado. The avocado, which is an AI-powered robot that prepares guacamole.
So they not only do surgery, the robots can now also make the guacamole.
They can make the guacamole.
We are really advancing.
But the question is guacamole, making guacamole, I never made guacamole, I don't know. But is it that difficult that we have to, that a human can't do that?
They can't be trusted. They can no longer be trusted.
I don't get it. Our purpose as a robotic company is to leverage automation technology to give workers, this is all about the workers, more flexibility in their day-to-day work. But listen, you don't need to worry about making guacamole. You need to be out there doing this or this or that or
talking
this or that.
to the public and
to the public.
Updating everything on your social media.
Let Uncle Jimmy do it.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Chipotle Mexican Grill today announced the avocado, an avocado processing robotic prototype that cuts, cores, and peels avocados before they are hand mashed to create the restaurant's famous guacamole. The prototype, developed in collaboration with Vibu, is currently being tested at the Chipotle Cultivate Center. There's a Chipotle Cultivate Center. I didn't know
guess
that.
where?
Irvine, California. Here's how it works, Sandy, in case you're wondering.
I am. I want to know all the details.
A team member loads the avocado with a full case of ripe avocados and selects the size setting. Avocado holds up to 25 pounds of avocados all at once. One at a time, avocados are vertically oriented. They are transferred into a processing device. The avocados are sliced in half. The cores and the skins are automatically removed, and the waste is discarded. The fruit is safely collected in a stainless steel bowl in the bottom of the device, and then a human being, a team member, comes, removes the bowl of avocado fruit
and takes all the glory.
And takes all the glory because then he moves it to the counter where they can add additional ingredients and hand mash the avocados. And people on the other side of the glass will be, oh my God, you are an avocado king.
He is boss.
But what they don't know is it's avocado.
That's right. I tell you what, if we could, once they're finished preparing all of those avocados, train them to go clean the restrooms, we would be on top of the world, right?
That's so good. That's so good. That's so good. So, it's all about the workers, right? AI is all about the workers, helping the workers. Oh, wait a minute. Tech CEO fires 90% of their support staff, claiming AI outperforms them.
Youch.
This is Futurism's The Bite report says we had to lay off 90% of our support team because of the AI chatbot. Tough? Yes. Necessary? Absolutely.
This ought to really scare some people.
Exactly. Sumit Shah, a 31-year-old CEO of an e-commerce platform called Dukan based in India, is getting torn to shreds online for firing 90% of the company's customer service staff after arguing that an AI chatbot had outperformed them. It was unusually callous announcement that clearly didn't sit well with the plenty of netizens of insider reports. In a lengthy Twitter thread laden with screenshots from action movies such as iRobot, Limitless, Shah argued that response times plummeted over 2 hours to less than 2 minutes thanks to AI chatbot.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So he says, make no mistake about it, the support team was laid off here because business is failing and funding is dry, not because of AI, is what the retractor is saying, because it's saying that laying off dozens of employees, allegedly cutting its customer support budget to now just $100 a month.
Yeah, they don't need a vacation, don't need any sick time, they don't.
So look, this what this means to me is, how many's ever called customer service and know you was talking to somebody in India? Mm. So this is a customer service, tech company, but they're basing their customer service there in the industry that is very famous to be in India. So what they're saying is that now that company, when you call that company for customer service, you're not talking to just a robotic voice. You're talking to probably a natural sounding voice that is hearing you, answering you, responding to you, having conversations with you, but they're not real.
The tech is getting better and better. Was it last week you played the video of the man who was astounded? He didn't think that they could learn that fast because they went for so long without making progress in this robotic field.
Oh, yeah, it was last week.
Then he came back over the weekend, and they had learned to do one task and was teaching it to the other robots. Yep. So this learning that they're doing is just becoming exponential, and look where we are now.
Well, guess what? When I was signing books, a guy came up, and I was signing a book for him. If he's watching, I mean no disrespect, but I was thinking, maybe, I don't know how he'd feel about our show, because he was there giving talks, which is very legitimate talk to this is a National Speakers Association. These are professional speakers that speak in corporations, and his topic was on AI. Yeah. And I asked him how he felt about how that would affect the industry, and he said, look, we need to embrace it. And he said, we need to, he talked about, all it can do is what we've told it to do and all this. And I'm sitting there signing books, and I'm like, do I really want to go there with him? Do I really want to? Because he's a really nice guy, a really good guy. But his company is how to use AI, think about this, to help you be a better speaker. I don't understand it. Because if AI is going to take over, teach you how to be a better speaker, I can see that it could maybe help you write a good script. But I think eventually that one of our co-authors too of the leadership book said she went to a session where a lady was doing a speech, and you didn't know this. I wish I could have seen it. And said you didn't know that she was standing behind a screen, and it was clear and transparent, and she was doing the speech and talking to them, and then all of a sudden she was on the other side of the stage talking, just like that. And they realized that they were looking at a hologram, and that she was teaching them through a hologram there at this convention, and then she stepped out from behind there and revealed herself. I thought that was really, really amazing. So the last thing, and I'm just going to show you the article title, and then I want you to think about the election that's coming up. Yeah. And so the video doesn't have anything to do with it. It's just a populated video. But the title of this article is that all of the political candidates, Republican and Democrat, have been asked questions about AI. And Newsweek says no one running for president has conveyed any kind of plan for AI.
Wow.
So innovation in artificial intelligence is advancing faster and faster. I'm trying to close this screen here. There we go. Is advancing faster and faster by day. Whether AI has the patience for a presidential election, however, is another question. Each day, machine learning and other forms of AI, as well as content it produces, outpaces headline writers' ability to comprehend the technology. In 2023 alone, AI-powered programs have surpassed human capabilities in diagnosing diseases, including X-rays, MRIs, and CT scans. They can also quickly assess students' learning styles, recommend unique lesson plans for them based on their strengths and weaknesses. They can mimic famous artists, compose music, and even replicate the sound of a person's voice. But to a large degree, in the United States, these technologies remain unregulated and are in rapid evolution. While policymakers race to try to understand and regulate them, they have the power to save lives and tap the limitless potential of the information age, along with the potential to become a job-killing scourge that will wreak havoc on the global community.
Well, based on just the little bit that we've seen, I have to agree with everything you just read in that article. Ricky's saying deep fakes will be out of control. Have to agree with that.
Yeah.
My goodness, I have to agree with that.
Yep, absolutely. So, wow.
Yeah.
We are still going to make it to 2 hours because I got one more thing to remind you about. Don't forget, my book is shipping now. And some people have said that the code Greatness is not working. I don't know about that. I will find out about that. But you can buy it. You can go to our website and buy it. It's $19.99. The hardback is coming out very soon, like within a few days, and the ebook will be available as well. But if you would like to get a copy put something in your hand, I think that's what you want. The cover, I love the cover. I've had so many compliments this week on the cover. And people are already starting to read it. I gave it to them on the first night. They came back to me the next day. One lady come up crying, going, I started your book last night. It's changing my life. And these are professional speakers, so I was very touched by that.
Thank God for that. It feels good when you know all that pain and hardship and things you had to go through, and it's actually helping somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's our heart. That's our heart. That's the same heart with the television program. That's why we want to give you an opportunity. You click there on the give button on Larry Ragland TV. You'll see that it's an opportunity for you to give to the television ministry. If you want to write a check, many of you have already done that. Thank you so much for everything you've done. You can make it out to Larry Ragland Ministries. Send it to the P.O. Box, helping us reach souls. Because we're a matter of days now. It's not this coming week, but the next week we'll be flying to Indianapolis.
We're taking this thing on the road, y'all.
Taking this thing on the road. Oh, and by the way, that's good that you said that, because the Monday night that we arrive, I think it's not. Is it next Monday?
Yes.
Is it next Monday?
Yes.
Okay, so next Monday night.
Is this something?
Are you right?
Is this something I haven't heard?
Wait a minute. Is it next Monday night we'll be up there?
It's next Monday. Okay. What are you about to say? Have I heard this yet?
Yes, you've heard it, but you forgot about it. Next Monday night, when we're in Indianapolis, we will be doing this show live from the television studio of World Harvest Television. They have given us the permission to use the set that we're going to use.
So you guys better come out in force.
It's going to be awesome, because starting next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we record 3 months worth of programs, 13 shows, but they have told us they're giving it to us for free. They've said, come in that Monday night, your set will be set up, so you'll get a preview of the set.
Yeah.
And we're going to do our show. Now, we'll use our equipment that night. It'd be the same thing as what you're seeing now, and using our little cameras. But we'll be having the backdrop. We'll be in the studio next Monday night. Man, I forgot all about that. It's going to be awesome.
So I haven't asked you in a couple of days, how close or how far away are we from the goal to be able to bring these all the way to
the $23,300?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I haven't checked it today, but I can tell you the last time I checked, in the bank right now was around $15,000.
Okay.
So we know that we have the money for the production. We don't have all the money for the airtime, but we have at least enough to pay for the first few weeks.
Okay.
We would like to arrive next week and just pay for it all and get that headache off of us, and be nice. It'd be nice to do that, and you can help us. We've already been told that if we get another $10,000, we got somebody going to match another $10,000. We got to do this every 3 months. So if you want to be a partner, if you want to sow a significant seed, we don't talk a lot about this on here, but we would appreciate it greatly. Larry Ragland Ministries, or go to LarryRagland.tv and click give. Praise God. So tonight's been a great night, Sandy. I really think
we're bumping up against 10 p.m. Can you think of like a couple more things to just jabber on about so we can make it all the way to... I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I can. Don't challenge me.
Listen, I've always wanted to be a late show.
Yeah, hey, we're late night TV tonight. I just thought of that. We are what?
What? That's crazy.
We're looking at viewers right now. We have had more viewers live tonight than we have ever had in the first 12 hours after our show. Woo! I got to give y'all come on. I'm hitting them all.
Okay, he's plumb giddy.
Oh my Lord. It's the biggest show we've ever done.
Giddy. Wow. This
is insane, y'all.
All right.
Look at y'all. So let's blow this channel up. Let's just take this. Let's make it even bigger next week, because we'll be live in the TV studio where we'll be touching millions of lives.
Yeah.
We're going into World Harvest Television, which it's on DirecTV. If you have DirecTV, you got it. If you got a Roku, you can download the World Harvest Television app. If you have an Apple TV, if you have Fire TV, Amazon Fire TV, all of those has an app where you can watch our show that's going to debut in August on World Harvest Television. If you live in Arkansas, Louisiana, Memphis, Tennessee, in that area, in all of that region, there's a channel. Thank you for that super chat, DRW.
What?
Oh, what a blessing.
Oh, my God.
So listen.
Thank you.
If you live anywhere in those areas, they're on your cable systems, they're on your over-the-air antenna, and they also stream live, and they also have an app. We are going to be, and I don't have it right in front of me, so I'm doing this on memory. We are going to be on Friday night on one of the channels. I can't remember which one it was. I think it's World Harvest Television. Yeah, World Harvest Television. I think it is. We will come on right after Perry Stone. So if y'all know Perry Stone is watched by millions of people.
I'm liking that.
So that's a great intro. So it would be Perry Stone and then us. And then I cannot think about the other one. I can't think of the other one, what it is. But both of them are really great ends. And maybe our producer's even watching, Bob. But both of them are great time slots. One is on a Sunday night. I said that wrong. World Harvest Television is a Sunday night, Sunday evening, which is the prime time, and the other one is a Friday night. So the Friday night is Perry Stone on the Victor Television, and will be at 6:30, I believe, Eastern Time on World Harvest Television, which is their biggest block that they have on Sunday nights. Is their big. So we're excited because that's potential of 30 to 50 million homes.
It's crazy.
Not to mention streaming. So you're a part of it. So help us.
And I'm so excited that all these guys are with us, and I just feel like we're taking them with us.
Absolutely.
They're going to be right there with us.
Absolutely.
And I love that.
That's right.
I love it.
That's right. And you can help spread us word because this is a family. I talk about y'all everywhere I go. I talk about the Big Picture family everywhere I go. And when people make a comment saying, hey, I found you from this, I found you, I say, welcome to the Big Picture family.
I hope those two gals that you met on the plane that you were talking to, I hope that they were able to watch tonight.
Rachel and Sassy. I'm looking for you.
Sassy, if you're out there.
Yeah, there's two ladies I was sitting by on the plane. I talked their ears off, talked about Jesus all the way home in the middle of this. They're like, I was fortunate enough to get right on the front row, and they were like, go, get in line, go. They were encouraging me. It was awesome, y'all. It was really awesome. Turned out to be the best night we've ever had, Sandy.
Crazy.
That's why the devil fought it so much.
It is.
The devil is a liar.
It is.
And we made it to 2 hours and 1 minute.
We're close to 1,000 views.
Close to 1,000 views while we're live.
10 p.m.
That is just amazing. So keep sending those views.
Get that phone book and start reading the phone book. We can do it. We can do this.
We've had 1,015 comments, too, that we got to read.
What?
Yep. So, all right. So, Sandy, parting thoughts on this late night edition of the Big Picture Live.
Well, it's just been extra good and extra special. I told you it was going to be a riot in one way or another.
Absolutely.
And you guys have shown up and shown out tonight.
Yep.
Woo!
Yep. So next Monday night, remember, live in the studio. But don't forget, tomorrow night I'm going to do a show. I have a show. I don't know the time yet. I'll post as quick as I can tomorrow.
It'll
probably 7 p.m. if I can work this out. But I'm going to do a show.
Make sure you're set up to get notified because this is going to be a good show.
I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to tell you up front, give you a little preview. I'm going to talk about some things about China that has not been said anywhere. And it's very, very concerning, but it's very, very real. Yeah. And we'll be talking about some other things too, but mainly about China that you need to know is coming. It is happening quickly. And so it'll be 7, maybe 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Not sure yet, Central Time. And then, of course, Wednesday night's Bible study. And then Thursday night, Standale. That's a big week, man. Big week. It
is.
So,
it is.
All right, love y'all. And we will remind you on this late night Big Picture Live, we ain't woke, but we are certainly awake. Good night, Big Picture family.
Love
we
you
love
all.
you. Share and tell everybody to join the family.